My name is Alex Harlan, and up until that stormy night in late October, my life in Willow Creek, Ohio, felt like a straight line drawn on graph paper, predictable, safe, and about as exciting as a high school algebra class. Willow Creek was the kind of small American town where everyone knew your business before you did. White picket fences lining cracked sidewalks, Friday night football games under floodlights that buzzed like angry hornets, and diners serving bottomless coffee to folks nursing regrets over plates of greasy hash browns. I was 18, fresh out of senior year, working part-time at the local garage to save for community college, dreaming of escaping to the bright lights of Chicago or maybe even New York. But dreams don't pay the rent, so I stuck around, crashing at friends' places when my own mom worked double shifts at the mill. Eli was my anchor in all that monotony. We'd been best friends since middle school, bonded over shared misery in the back row of Mr. Thompson's history class, passing notes about how we'd both rather be anywhere else. Eli was the golden boy, tall, with that effortless charm that made teachers smile and girls blush. His laugh loud enough to drown out the whispers about his family's issues. He lived in a two-story colonial on Elm Street, the kind of house that looked perfect from the outside but creaked with secrets inside. Paint peeling on the siding, a swing set rusting in the overgrown yard, and his dad, Nathan, who worked construction and came home smelling like sawdust and bourbon. I'd slept over at Eli's 100 times before, but that night felt different from the start. It was homecoming weekend, and we'd spent the evening tailgating in the high school parking lot. Beers snuck from a cooler, bonfires crackling, the air alive with the roar of the crowd as our team crushed the rivals from Dayton. Eli was in his element, arms slung around my shoulders, shouting chants until his voice went hoarse. "To us, man," he'd toasted, clinking his red Solo cup against mine. "The unbreakable duo." I laughed, but something in his eyes flickered. A shadow that had been growing longer these past months, ever since his mom packed up and left for good. We stumbled back to his place around midnight, the streets slick with the first autumn rain, our sneakers squelching on the pavement. Nathan's truck was in the driveway, headlights off, but the porch light glowed like a wary sentinel. "Dad's probably crashed," Eli muttered, fumbling with his keys. "Won't even notice we're here." I nodded, but as we slipped inside, the house felt heavier than usual, the silence pressing down like an uninvited guest. Upstairs in Eli's room, posters of indie bands peeling from the walls, a half-built model airplane gathering dust on the dresser. We crashed hard. Eli unrolled his sleeping bag on the floor, claiming the bed would swallow me whole, while I took the lumpy mattress, staring at the ceiling fan whirring lazily overhead. The rain picked up, drumming a relentless rhythm, and sleep came in fits, haunted by the echo of the game crowd's cheers. That's when the thunder hit, and the door opened. Nathan stepped in like a ghost materializing from the storm, his flannel shirt untucked and damp at the cuffs, jeans faded from years of wear. He was in his mid-40s, broad-shouldered from hauling lumber all day, with lines etched deep around his eyes that spoke of nights like this one, sleepless, wrestling demons. His hair was dark with streaks of gray, tousled as if he'd been running his hands through it. "Alex," he said, my name a low rumble that cut through the downpour. Not a question, but an accusation. He held something in his fist, a crumpled photo, edges worn soft from too many anxious grips. I swallowed hard, glancing at Eli's still form. "Mr. Harlan, Nathan, everything okay? We didn't mean to wake you." My voice cracked, betraying the lie. Nothing felt okay. Not the way his gaze stripped me bare. Not the electric hum in the air that had nothing to do with the lightning outside. He didn't answer right away. Instead, he crossed the room in 2 strides, the floorboards groaning under his weight, and dropped the photo on the bed beside me. It landed face up. A snapshot of Eli and me from last summer, arms around each other at the county fair, grinning like idiots with cotton candy smeared on our faces. Innocent enough, except for the way Nathan's thumb had creased it right over where our hands touched. "You think you know him," he repeated, his voice a gravelly whisper that sent chills racing down my spine. "But you don't know the half of what he's hiding from you." The words hung there, heavy as the rain-lashed branches slapping the window. Eli stirred then, mumbling something incoherent, but didn't wake. I picked up the photo, my fingers brushing Nathan's as he pulled back. A spark, unintended but undeniable, that made us both freeze. "What do you mean?" I asked, though part of me already knew. Eli had been pulling away lately, canceling plans with flimsy excuses, his texts growing shorter, laced with an edge I couldn't place. And me? I'd been lying to myself for years about why his touch lingered a beat too long, why my dreams twisted into territory I dared not name. Nathan sank onto the edge of the bed, close enough that I could smell the faint trace of his cologne mixed with wet earth, cedar and storm. His eyes, the same stormy blue as Eli's, bored into mine. "He's not who you think, Alex. None of us are." He paused, rubbing a calloused hand over his jaw, the stubble rasping like sandpaper. "I saw you two tonight at the game. The way he looks at you, it's not just friendship. And God help me, the way you look back." My breath caught, the room spinning despite the stillness. I'd buried those feelings deep, under layers of denial and bro-code bullshit. Eli was straight, or so he'd always claimed, with girlfriends paraded like trophies to prove it. But lately, the air between us had thickened, charged with unspoken what-ifs. And now Nathan, of all people, was dragging it into the light. "You don't know what you're talking about." I shot back, but my voice lacked conviction. The photo trembled in my hand. He leaned closer, his presence overwhelming, a wall of quiet strength that both terrified and drew me in. "I know more than you think, because I've been there." The confession slipped out like a dam breaking, and in that moment, the storm outside seemed tame compared to the one brewing in his eyes. Nathan Harlan, the stoic widower, divorced, not widowed, though the ache was the same, had his own ghosts. I'd glimpsed them in the way he stared off into the middle distance during family barbecues, nursing a beer while the neighbors chattered. Rumors swirled in Willow Creek. The ex-wife left because of his temper, or the drinking. But no one dared say it to his face. "Tell me?" I whispered, the words escaping before I could stop them. Eli shifted again, and we both held our breath until he settled. Nathan's gaze flicked to his son, softening with a tenderness that twisted something in my chest. Fatherly love, yes, but laced with regret, like he'd failed at something sacred. "It started with my brother," Nathan said finally, his voice dropping to a thread. "Back in '98, when we were kids in this same damn town. Summers by the creek, stealing smokes from the corner store, thinking we were invincible. He was everything to me, brighter, funnier, the one who made the world make sense." He swallowed, Adam's apple bobbing. "We crossed a line one night, under the stars, and it changed us. He freaked, joined the Marines right after graduation, shipped off to the Gulf. Came back in a box 2 years later." The rawness in his tone hit me like a punch. I'd never heard this story, not from Eli, who dodged questions about his uncle like they were live wires, and certainly not from Nathan, who carried his pain like a badge pinned inside his jacket. "I'm sorry," I murmured, inadequate words for the void he described. But he shook his head, a ghost of a smile tugging at his lips, bitter, knowing. "Don't be. It's the lies that kill you, Alex. The ones you tell yourself to keep the world spinning." His hand hovered near mine on the bedspread, not touching, but the heat of it was a promise. "Eli's scared. Of this town, of me, of what it means to feel something real when everyone's watching. And you're the mirror he can't look away from." Thunder rolled again, closer this time, vibrating the window panes. I wanted to bolt, to shake Eli awake and demand answers, but Nathan's words rooted me. For the first time, I saw him not as Eli's distant dad, the guy who grilled burgers with quiet efficiency, but as a man who'd lost his way and was still searching. Vulnerable, human, and in that vulnerability, something stirred in me. A curiosity, a compassion that blurred the lines I'd so carefully drawn. "What now?" I asked, my voice barely audible over the rain. Nathan stood, slow and deliberate, casting a long shadow across the room. "Now, you decide if you're brave enough to face it, or if you'll let fear win, like I did." He paused at the door, hand on the knob, looking back with eyes that held a lifetime of what-ifs. Sleep tight, kid. Storm's just getting started. The door clicked shut, and I lay there, staring at the ceiling, the photo clutched to my chest. Eli's soft snores filled the silence, a reminder of the boy I thought I knew. But Nathan's words echoed, unraveling the threads of my reality. Little did I know, that late-night confession was the spark that would ignite everything. Betrayal, heartbreak, a love I never saw coming, and a reckoning that would test the very soul of Willow Creek. The next morning dawned gray and sodden, the kind of Ohio autumn day where the sky presses low, threatening to smother you. Eli woke with a groan, rubbing his eyes and squinting at the light filtering through the blinds. "Dude, what time is it?" My head's pounding like a jackhammer. He sat up, sleeping bag tangled around his legs, oblivious to the seismic shift that had occurred mere feet away. I forced a laugh, folding the photo and tucking it under my pillow like contraband. 9:45. You snored like a freight train, kept me up half the night. It wasn't a lie, not entirely, but the omission burned. Nathan's face flashed in my mind, his whispered truths a weight I wasn't ready to carry. We shuffled downstairs, the house smelling of stale coffee and yesterday's takeout. Nathan was at the kitchen table, nursing a mug, the morning paper spread out like a shield. He glanced up, his expression neutral, the stoic mask back in place. But our eyes met for a split second, a current passing between us that made my pulse stutter. "Morning, boys," he said, voice even. "Pancakes." Eli dropped into a chair, grabbing a banana from the fruit bowl. "Nah, Dad, we're good. Heading to the diner for the works, hangover cure, you know?" He shot me a grin, all easy camaraderie, but I caught the flicker in his eyes when Nathan's gaze lingered a beat too long on me. "Sure thing," Nathan replied, folding the paper with deliberate care. "Alex, you need a ride home later? Truck's running fine today." I shook my head, busying myself with a glass of water. "I'm good, thanks." Eli's got me. The normalcy of it all felt wrong, like acting in a play where everyone knew the script except me. As we scarfed down toast and bantered about the game, Eli replaying his epic touchdown dance, me nodding along, the undercurrent pulled at me. Nathan's hands, rough from work, wrapped around his mug. The way his shoulders tensed when Eli mentioned a party that night. The unspoken plea in his earlier words. We left soon after, the screen door banging shut behind us, but the house and its secrets clung like damp leaves. The walk to the diner was a blur of fallen crimson maples crunching underfoot, Eli's arm bumping mine in that familiar way that now felt loaded. "Last night was legendary," he said, kicking a pebble into the gutter. "Can't believe we pulled off that keg stand without puking." "Yeah," I echoed, forcing enthusiasm. "Unforgettable." But my mind was elsewhere, replaying Nathan's confession. The photo's creased edge a talisman in my pocket. What had Eli hidden? And why did the thought of Nathan's lost brother twist my gut? Not with pity, but with a strange, aching recognition. The diner was a Willow Creek institution. Formica counters sticky with syrup, jukebox crooning Springsteen, and Miss Betty behind the register, her beehive hairdo defying gravity. We slid into our usual booth, ordering the lumberjack special eggs, bacon, hash that could feed a family of 4. Eli dove in, talking a mile a minute about college scouts who'd been at the game, his future bright as the neon open sign flickering in the window. But I picked at my food, the grease turning heavy in my stomach. "Hey man," I said finally when he paused for air. "You ever think about, I don't know, stuff from the past? Like your uncle?" Eli's fork froze midway to his mouth, yolk dripping onto his plate. The easy grin faltered, replaced by a guarded squint. "Where's this coming from? You hungover too?" "Just curious." I pressed, heart thudding. "Nathan mentioned him last night. Said you two were close." He set the fork down, wiping his mouth with a napkin, the motion too careful. "Dad talks too much when he's had a few. Uncle Mike was complicated. We're hero, sure, but he left a mess. Dropped out of touch after he enlisted, then boom, Kia. End of story." His tone was clipped, walls slamming up like storm shutters. I nodded, but the evasion stung. Complicated. That's what Nathan had called it too. The line crossed under the stars. Was that the hiding Eli carried? A family legacy of buried desires, passed down like a cursed heirloom? Sorry, I muttered. Didn't mean to dig. Eli's shoulders relaxed a fraction, and he clapped my back. Hard, brotherly. Forget it. We're golden, right? You and me against the world. Always, I said, the word tasting like ash. But as we paid the bill and stepped back into the drizzle, I wondered if always was a promise or a prison. The rest of the day blurred into the week's rhythm. Shifts at the garage, oil changes and tire rotations under fluorescent lights that hummed like doubts. Eli texted memes, invitations to pick up basketball at the park, but our hangs felt off-kilter now, every laugh shadowed by what I hadn't said. And Nathan, God, Nathan. I'd catch glimpses of him driving through town, his truck a battered Ford rumbling past the garage, and each time, my chest tightened. Once, he even stopped in for an oil top-off, leaning against the hood while I worked, his casual "How's it going, Alex?" laced with subtext only we could hear. By Friday, the tension coiled like a spring. Eli threw a party at his place, Nathan out on a late job, the house hours for the night. Kids from school crammed the living room, red cups foaming over with cheap beer, bass thumping from Bluetooth speakers. I nursed a solo in the kitchen, watching Eli hold court in the center of it all, his laugh a beacon. But when our eyes met across the room, it was different, charged, questioning. He excused himself from a cluster of cheerleaders and made his way over, cheeks flushed. "You've been weird since the sleepover," he said, voice low under the din. "Spill it." I set my cup down, the Formica cool under my palms. "It's nothing. Just, your dad said some stuff. About feelings. About us." Eli's face drained of color, the party noise fading to a roar in my ears. "What the hell did he tell you?" "The truth," I said, echoing Nathan without meaning to. "About your uncle. About what happened." He grabbed my arm, fingers digging in, pulling me toward the back porch. The screen door slapped shut, muffling the chaos, the night air crisp with wood smoke from a neighbor's fire pit. "He's lying," Eli hissed, eyes wild. "Or half lying, anyway. Uncle Mike was gay, fine, whatever, but Dad? He worshipped the guy. It wasn't mutual." He raked a hand through his hair, pacing the splintered boards. "I found letters last year in the attic. Mike wrote to him, confessing everything, begging him to come out. Dad burned them, said it was a phase, a mistake." My world tilted. Nathan's grief, reframed. Not unrequited, but a love he'd rejected out of fear. "So why tell me?" Eli stopped, facing me, rain from earlier days still puddling in the yard. "Because he's projecting onto us." The words landed like a slap, and then, before I could process, he closed the distance, his mouth crashing against mine. Desperate, tasting of beer and fear. Time fractured. I kissed back, hands fisting his shirt, the world narrowing to the heat of him, the forbidden rush. But even as fireworks exploded behind my eyes, Nathan's face haunted the edges. His vulnerability, his warning. This wasn't just a kiss. It was a detonation. We broke apart, gasping, Eli's eyes searching mine for absolution. "See? It's not hiding. It's real." But his voice cracked, and I saw the lie beneath. The same fear that had silenced his father decades ago. "I need air," I mumbled, bolting back inside, the party a blur of faces and bass. Upstairs, I locked myself in the bathroom, splashing water on my face, staring at the mirror. Who was I in this? The friend? The lover? The echo of a ghost? Downstairs, the night spiraled. Laughter turned to shouts, a bottle shattered, and then Eli was yelling at someone about something trivial, but I heard my name, sharp and accusing. I slipped out a side window, dropping to the grass, running until my lungs burned, the town lights smearing into streaks. I ended up at the creek, the same one Nathan had mentioned, water rushing black under the moon. Sitting on a boulder, I pulled out the photo, tracing our smiles. Betrayal? Not yet. But the seeds were sown, and come morning, they'd sprout into thorns. The creek's murmur was the only sound that grounded me as I sat there, knees drawn up, the chill seeping through my jeans. Willow Creek, the literal one, snaking through town like a vein of forgotten secrets, had always been our escape, Eli's and mine. We'd skip stones here as kids, dreaming of pro football contracts or road trips across Route 66. Now, it mocked me, the water carrying away pebbles like it could wash clean the mess I just made. Eli's kiss lingered on my lips, urgent and real, but it felt like a theft, stealing from a man who'd bared his soul hours before. My phone buzzed in my pocket, Eli's name lighting the screen. Where are you? Party's lame without you. Then, a second. Sorry if I freaked you. Talk? I typed back a lame be there soon, but didn't hit send. Instead, I pocketed it and started walking, the gravel path crunching underfoot, leading me not home, but to the one place I shouldn't go, back to Elm Street. Nathan's truck was still gone when I arrived, the house dark except for a porch light flickering like a hesitant heartbeat. The party raged on inside, muffled thumps of music vibrating the windows, but I skirted the side yard, finding the back door unlocked. A small-town habit, trust in neighbors who gossiped more than they stole. I didn't know what I was doing there, or what I'd say, but the pull was magnetic, drawing me up the stairs to Nathan's room. The door was ajar, a sliver of lamplight spilling out. He sat on the bed's edge, much like he had in Eli's room, but now with a half-empty bottle of Jack on the nightstand and an old shoebox open beside him. Letters, yellowed envelopes, postmarked from bases overseas, spilled across the quilt. He didn't startle when I knocked softly. Perhaps he'd heard my footsteps, or maybe he'd been expecting this unraveling all along. Alex, he said, not looking up, should have known the storm would bring you back. I stepped inside, closing the door against the distant bass. The room smelled of him, sawdust, leather, a hint of the bourbon he'd clearly dipped into. It was sparse, this space. A twin bed with a threadbare comforter, a dresser scarred from moves long past, a single framed photo of Eli as a toddler on the wall. No trace of the ex-wife, no frills, just a man's quiet survival. I kissed him, I blurted, the words tumbling out like stones into the creek. Eli. On the porch. He thinks it's us, that we're the story here. Nathan's head lifted slowly, his eyes shadowed but steady. He patted the bed beside him, and I sat, the mattress dipping under our weight. And you? What do you think? I laughed, a hollow sound. Hell if I know. 1 minute we're bros, the next. I trailed off, gesturing vaguely at the chaos in my chest. Your story, it's not just about loss, is it? It's about choosing wrong. The admission hung between us, raw and unadorned. I reached for the letter, our fingers brushing again. This time deliberate, a tether in the dim light. Mike's handwriting was bold, looping. I see your face in every dune, Nate. Come find me when the sand settles. Simple words, but they carried the weight of oceans. Why tell me? I asked, echoing Eli. Why drag me into this? Nathan set the letter down, turning to face me fully. His hand, calloused, warm, covered mine, not pulling away. Because I see it in you, Alex. The same fire Mike had. The one Eli's got too, buried under all that bravado. And because, he hesitated, searching my face. Because last night, looking at you in that bed, I saw him. Not a ghost but a chance. To not run this time. The air thickened, charged not with storm but with possibility. His thumb traced a slow circle on my knuckle, a gesture so gentle it undid me. I'd never thought of Nathan this way, not as a crush, but as a mirror, reflecting the parts of myself I'd sidelined. The loneliness of small-town queerness. The ache for connection beyond hookups and half-truths. In Chicago, maybe I'd chase rainbows. Here it was this messy, real, forbidden. I don't know how to do this, I whispered, leaning closer despite the alarm bells. Our foreheads touched, breaths mingling. Eli's my best friend. Your son. I know. Nathan's free hand cupped my jaw, rough palm against smooth skin, tilting my face up. His eyes held storms I'd only glimpsed before. Grief, yes, but also hope, flickering like the porch light. That's the betrayal waiting. But love's not a ledger, Alex. It's a leap. Our lips met then, soft and searching, nothing like Eli's frantic claim. This was a conversation, a shared exhale after holding breath for decades. His stubble grazed my chin, his hands sliding to the nape of my neck, anchoring me. Time stretched, the party forgotten, the world outside dissolving into rain-scented night. When we parted, gasping, Nathan rested his forehead against mine. This changes everything, he murmured. Yeah, I agreed, heart a wild drum. It does. We didn't speak of consequences that night. Instead, he shared more, stories of Mike's laugh echoing over campfires, the way Nathan had rebuilt his life around Eli, brick by painful brick, only to watch the boy mirror his own silences. I confessed my own fears, the taunts in locker rooms, the prayers to a God who seemed deaf to small-town boys. Dawn crept in, gray light filtering through curtains, and I slipped out before the house stirred, the taste of him lingering like contraband. The week that followed was a tightrope walk. Eli acted like the kiss was a victory, texting flirty emojis, suggesting just us hangouts that twisted my gut. Come over tonight, he'd say. Dad's working late. I'd make excuses. Garage overtime, family stuff, while stealing moments with Nathan. A shared coffee at the diner's back booth, his boot nudging mine under the table. A drive to the quarry's edge, windows down, Springsteen crooning about Thunder Roads as our hands intertwined on the gearshift. It was romance in stolen fragments, humanistic in its quiet rebellion against Willow Creek's prying eyes. Nathan taught me to see beauty in the broken, how a splintered beam could be sanded smooth, how grief could carve space for new growth. You're not a phase, Alex, he'd say, voice low in the truck's cab. You're the rewrite I never thought I'd get. But Eli noticed the shift. His texts grew edged. You avoiding me? At school, wait, community college orientation now, but same crowd. He cornered me in the hall, eyes narrowed. What's with the ghosting? After the other night. I deflected, mumbling about stress, but guilt gnawed like rust. Nathan saw it too. During a rare family dinner I crashed Eli's idea, a peace offering. The table was tense, forks scraping plates of meatloaf and peas. Pass the salt, Eli said, but his gaze flicked between us, suspicion brewing. Nathan met it steadily, father to son, while under the table his knee pressed mine. A secret Morse code. That night, alone in my room, the dam broke. Eli showed up unannounced, pounding on the door until my mom let him in. Worried, he stormed upstairs, face thunderous. I know, Alex. I fucking know. My stomach dropped. Know what? You and Dad. The words were venom spat like shards. Saw you at the quarry yesterday. Parked on the bluff. Like some bad country song. Denial died on my tongue. His eyes, hurt, betrayed, mirrored the boy in the photo, innocent no more. Eli, it's not. Don't. He cut me off, voice cracking. You're supposed to be my best friend. He's broken us all. Mom left because of his secrets. You know that? The drinking started after Uncle Mike, but it never stopped. And now you're just the latest casualty. The accusation landed, but so did the truth. Nathan wasn't broken. He was healing, in ways Eli couldn't see. It's not like that, I said, stepping closer. Your dad told me everything. About Mike. About choosing fear over love. He's trying to fix it, Eli. With me. Eli laughed, bitter and hollow. Fix it? By screwing my best friend? You're both liars. He shoved past me, grabbing a lamp that teetered but didn't fall, symbolic, that steadiness amid chaos. We're done. You, him, this town. Burn it all. He left, door slamming like finality. I sank to the floor, head in hands, the humanistic ache settling in. Love's cost, paid in fractured bonds. But as tears came, hot and unbidden, my phone buzzed. Nathan. He knows? Come over. We face this together. I went because leaps demand landing. The drive to Elm Street that night felt eternal, headlights cutting fog like knives through doubt. Willow Creek slept under a blanket of mist, street lamps haloed orbs, the occasional dog barking a lonely protest. My mom's old Civic rattled over potholes, radio static hissing Johnny Cash's "Hurt." Fitting, that raw lament of a man reckoning with his ruins. Eli's words echoed, liars, broken, done. But beneath the pain, a deeper fear gnawed. What if he was right? What if this thing with Nathan was just another scar in a family already laced with them? His truck was in the driveway, porch light on like a beacon. I killed the engine, hands trembling on the wheel, rehearsing apologies I didn't know. The door opened before I knocked, Nathan filling the frame, his face etched with the same storm I'd seen that first night. "He's not here," he said, reading my silence. Took off on his bike. Left a note, "Don't follow." Inside, the house was a tomb. Party remnants cleared, but the air stale with accusation. We settled in the living room. Sagging couch, coffee table scarred from Eli's childhood Lego wars. Whiskey glasses in hand, the bottle a reluctant mediator. Nathan poured generously, the amber liquid glinting like captured firelight. "To truths," he toasted, clinking my glass. Our eyes met over the rims, a shared sorrow passing between us. "Tell me about the note," I said, sipping the burn, warmth spreading tentative fingers through my chest. He pulled it from his pocket, unfolded it with care. Scrawled in Eli's looping script, found the letters. "Knew about Uncle Mike all along. You could have told me, Dad. Instead, you let me think I was crazy for feeling this way. Now with Alex, it's too much. Need space. Don't look." Simple, devastating. A son's heart laid bare, then shuddered. Nathan's hand shook as he refolded it. I wanted to protect him. From this town, from me. Thought if I stayed silent, he'd find his own path. His voice broke, and he set the glass down, rubbing his eyes. "But silence is the real betrayal, isn't it?" I reached for him then, hand on his knee, the gesture grounding us both. "You did what you thought was right. And Eli, he's not gone forever. He's hurt, yeah, but he's strong. Like you." A ghost smile tugged at Nathan's lips. "Strong? I'm a damn fool, Alex. 44 years old, finally facing who I am, and it's costing my boy everything." He covered my hand with his, thumb tracing my knuckles. A habit now, intimate in its repetition. "You should go too, before it swallows you." But I didn't. Instead, I leaned in, our kiss a balm against the jagged edges. It deepened, hands exploring with the urgency of borrowed time, but always tender. Fingers threading hair, breaths shared like secrets. No rush to claim, just a mutual unraveling, bodies speaking what words couldn't. We moved to his room, shedding clothes like old skins, the bed a sanctuary where vulnerability reigned. In the afterglow, tangled in sheets, Nathan traced patterns on my chest, his voice a murmur in the dark. "Thank you for seeing me. Dawn found us like that, coffee brewing downstairs as if the world hadn't tilted." But reality intruded with a phone call. Eli's buddy from the team, voice tight. "He's at the quarry, man. Bikes wiped out. Ambulance en route." Panic surged, hot and visceral. We raced there in Nathan's truck, wipers slapping rain that had returned with vengeance. The quarry loomed, a yawning pit scarred into the earth, chain-link fence rattling in the wind. Sirens wailed, red-blue lights painting the scene surreal. Eli lay on a gurney, legs splinted, face pale but eyes open, defiant, even in pain. "Dad," he rasped as we approached, medics hovering. "Alex." Nathan dropped to his knees beside him, gripping his hand. "I'm here, son. What happened?" "Went too fast," Eli muttered, gaze flicking to me with a mix of resentment and relief. "Needed to clear my head. Hit a rut." The paramedics loaded him up, Nathan riding in the ambulance, me following in the truck. Heart in my throat, prayers whispered to that indifferent God. At the fluorescent hell of beeps and bleach. We waited. Nathan pacing linoleum. Me slumped in plastic chairs. The town waking to whispers of Harlan boy in a wreck. Hours blurred. X-rays, stitches, a fractured tibia that had sidelined him for months. When the doctor cleared him for discharge, Eli was wheeled out, cranky on pain meds, Nathan pushing the chair with steady hands. "Home?" Eli asked, voice small. "Home," Nathan confirmed. But as they loaded into the truck, Eli turned to me. "You too, Alex. We talk. All of us." It wasn't forgiveness, but a truce. Back at the house, Eli propped on the couch with pillows and pizza. Comfort food for fractured nights. We circled like wary animals. Nathan started, voice steady. "I should have told you about Mike years ago. It wasn't pity or shame. It was love, Eli. The kind that scares the hell out of you in a place like this." Eli nodded, picking at pepperoni. "I get it. Found the letters, remember? But keeping it from me made me think I was the problem. Feeling this way about." He glanced at me, cheeks flushing. "About guys. About Alex, first." The admission hung, pulling me into the circle. "I didn't mean to hurt you," I said, sitting on the coffee table, close enough to touch but not. "The kiss, it was real, but then your dad. It shifted. He's not taking me from you. It's not a competition." Eli's eyes welled, but he blinked it back. "Feels like one. Like I'm losing everything." Nathan reached for him, hand on shoulder, and for the first time, I saw the bridge forming. Father and son, mending with truths long buried. We talked till midnight. Stories of Mike's pranks, Eli's hidden crushes, my own closet confessions. Laughter crept in, tentative, humanistic in its grace. Forgiveness not as erasure, but as expansion. When Eli yawned, doped on meds, Nathan helped him upstairs, returning with 2 beers from the fridge. "He's asleep," he said, handing me one. "Thinks we're figuring it out." We clinked bottles on the porch, rain easing to mist, stars peeking through. "We are," I replied, leaning into him. His arm draped my shoulders, solid as oak. "Romance, yes, but rooted in redemption. A love that healed, not just hearts but legacies." The weeks that followed were a delicate dance. Eli healed slow, crutches clacking through the house like Morse code for mending. He'd rib me about stealing his old man. But the edge softened, replaced by curiosity. Questions about Nathan and me, tentative shares of his own dates with a guy from the next town over. Nathan threw himself into rehab not just for the bourbon, but for us. A weekly AA meeting in the church basement, coming home clearer-eyed, hands steadier. Me, I balanced it all. College classes starting, grease monkey shifts, stolen nights with Nathan that deepened into something profound. We'd drive to the county line, park under willows, talk dreams. His of opening a carpentry shop, mine of writing stories that captured small-town souls. "You're my co-author now," he'd say, kissing my temple, the sentiment pure Americana. Bootstrap heart, second chances. But conflict loomed, as it always does in dramas worth telling. Willow Creek's grapevine ignited, whispers at the diner, stares at the garage. "Heard the Harlans got drama," a customer muttered, eyeing me. "Boy with the dad? Messed up." Eli overheard at physical therapy, coming home fuming. "They're saying you're a homewrecker, Alex, and dad's a predator." "It's bullshit." Nathan took it hardest, fists clenched at the kitchen table. "Let him talk. We've got truth on our side." But doubt crept in, shadows under his eyes from sleepless nights. One evening, after a particularly venomous note left on his truck, "Fags don't belong here," he snapped. "Maybe Eli's right. Maybe I am breaking everything." I pulled him close in the hallway, coats still on from the cold. "You're building, Nathan. Us, Eli, it's a foundation, not a wreck." Our kiss was fierce, a defiance against the town's smallness. But as he held me, I felt the tremor, the fear of loss echoing his brother's fate. The climax built like thunderheads rolling in from Lake Erie. Eli's birthday fell on a crisp November Saturday, and we planned a quiet thing. Cake from the bakery, a bonfire in the yard. But word spread. Uninvited guests from the old crowd, beer cans in hand, faces twisted with liquid courage. They crashed the gate, jeering, "Family reunion?" More like freak show. Eli hobbled out on crutches, face ashen. Nathan stepped forward, me at his side, a united front. "This is private," Nathan growled, voice low thunder. "Leave." One kid, Tommy, a linebacker with a grudge, laughed, shoving Eli. "Private? Whole town's talking about your little love nest, Harlan. Bet your wife bailed 'cause of this shit." The shove ignited. Nathan lunged, fists flying. But I grabbed him back, Eli yelling, "Stop!" Chaos erupted. Punches thrown, crutches clattering, the bonfire spitting embers like accusations. I took a hit to the jaw, copper taste blooming, but held Nathan as sirens wailed distant. Cops came, dispersing the mob, statements taken under floodlights. Bruises bloomed, but worse was the aftermath. Eli in tears on the porch. "This is my fault, drawing them here." Nathan silent, knuckles bloodied, staring at the stars. Me, split lip throbbing, realizing our private leap had gone public. The town's hatred a mirror to our fears. In the ER again. Stitches for Eli's split brow, ice for my jaw. We sat in silence, the humanistic weight settling. Love's cost in a land of fragile tolerances. "We fight," Nathan said finally, hand in mine. "Or we run." Eli looked up, eyes fierce. "We fight. Together." The fallout from the bonfire brawl hung over Willow Creek like smog from the mill, thick and choking. Monday morning, the local paper ran a buried story, teen altercation at Harlan residence. Vague enough to skirt scandal, but the details spread faster than flu season. Names whispered in checkout lines, Facebook posts screenshot and shared. Nathan's foreman called him in, unofficial talk about distractions on site. Code for clean up your mess or clock out. Eli's coach benched him indefinitely, citing personal issues. While at the garage, customers I'd known since diapers avoided my eyes, opting for the new kid at Pump 3. I felt the isolation like a second skin, tight and suffocating. College lectures on American Lit, irony of reading Whitman on brotherhood amid our own fractured bonds, blurred into white noise. But home was the real battlefield. Nathan retreating into work, coming back hollow-eyed. Eli snapping at shadows, crutches wielded like weapons. Our trio, once a fragile alliance, frayed at the edges, betrayal not in hearts but in the town's siege. It peaked midweek, Nathan bursting through the door at dusk, face ashen, lunch pail clattering to the floor. "They fired me," he said, voice flat. "Said the crew's uncomfortable. After 20 years. He sank into a chair, head in hands, the man who'd rebuilt roofs against gales now crumbling. Eli, homework scattered on the table, slammed his book shut. "Those bastards. We sue? Get a lawyer from Dayton." Fire in his eyes, but Nathan shook his head. "No, it's done." He looked up, gaze settling on me where I stood frozen in the doorway. "Told you I'd break it all. You didn't?" I insisted, crossing to him, kneeling so our eyes leveled. "They did. This town's poison, Nathan, not us." My hand on his knee, a plea. Eli watched, silent, the room thick with unspoken accusations. Your fault, your love, your curse. That night, after Eli retreated upstairs muttering about needing space, Nathan and I sat on the porch swing, the chains creaking like old bones. Moonlight silvered the yard, frost nipping the air, our breaths fogging in tandem. "I keep thinking of Mike," he confessed, arm around my shoulders, pulling me close. He'd say pack up, head west, start fresh. No more hiding. The romance of it tugged. California sun, open roads, a life unyoked from judgment. But reality anchored. Eli's healing leg, my mom's mill job, roots too deep to yank clean. "And leave Eli?" I asked softly. "He needs you." "Us." Nathan sighed, chin resting on my head. "He needs normal, not this circus." His fingers traced my collarbone, absent but affectionate. a reminder of the intimacy we'd carved from chaos. You deserve better too, kid. A city where you can breathe. I turned, kissing him slow, tasting salt of unshed tears. I breathe fine here, with you. Lies, perhaps, but truths in the moment. Love as defiance, humanistic in its stubborn bloom amid weeds. Eli overheard the tale end from the stairs, shadow long in the porch light. Go then, he said, voice-edged. Both of you. I'll manage. Crutches echoed as he turned away, door clicking shut upstairs. The rift widened. Days bled into silence. Meals picked at, conversations clipped. I stayed over less, citing school, but really fearing the fracture. Nathan threw himself into job hunts. Applications to firms in Columbus, even a lead on a crew in Pittsburgh, but rejection emails piled like autumn leaves. Eli aced a history test, channeling rage into essays on civil rights, but confided in no one, not even me. Betrayal crested on a Friday, rain-lashed and raw. I'd come over to help with dinner. Nathan's idea, a forced normalcy, and found Eli in the kitchen, rifling drawers, face streaked with fury. He's packing, he spat, holding up a duffel half-zipped with clothes. Found it in his closet. Leaving without a word. My heart plummeted. No, Nathan said. Save it. Eli shoved the bag at me. You're in on it, right? The great escape. Screw the kid left behind. Pain twisted his features. The boy who'd once shared secrets, now a stranger armored in hurt. I grabbed his arm, gentle but firm. Eli, stop. We're not. The front door banged open. Nathan drenched, eyes wild. What the hell's going on? He took in the scene, duffel, accusations, and deflated. Eli, it's not what you promised. Eli roared, crutches clattering as he advanced. No more lies. But here you are, running like Uncle Mike wanted, leaving me to clean up. Tears tracked his cheeks, mixing with rain from the open door. I hate you. Both of you. Nathan staggered back, as if struck. Son. Eli bolted or tried, hobbling toward the stairs, but collapsed halfway, leg buckling. I lunged, catching him, our arms tangling in a desperate hold. Don't, I begged. We're family, Eli. Messed up, yeah, but real. He sobbed then, raw and wrenching, clinging to me as Nathan joined, enveloping us both. Father, son, interloper turned anchor. We sank to the floor, a heap of limbs and regrets, rain pooling around us. I'm sorry, Nathan whispered, over and over, hands stroking Eli's hair. Stayed silent too long, then tried to fix it wrong. But I'm not leaving. Not without you both. Eli hiccuped, pulling back to glare through tears. Prove it. The challenge hung, and in the days that followed, proof came in actions. Nathan tore up the applications, instead approaching the local hardware store owner, a quiet ally who'd nodded sympathetically at the diner. Need a handyman? He asked, blunt. The owner, gray-haired and gruff, hired him on the spot. Fixing shelves, building custom orders, small scale, but steady. Town's changing slow, he told Nathan. You lead, we follow. Eli, inspired, started a GSA club at school. Gay Straight Alliance, flyers posted in the halls despite glares. I helped, designing posters on my laptop, our late nights brainstorming turning into something beautiful. Vulnerability shared, not hidden. This is us, Eli said one evening, taping a sign to the bulletin board. Unbreakable, remember? Romance with Nathan deepened in the quiet spaces. Walks by the creek at dusk, hands linked, talking futures not escapes. Marry me? He asked one twilight, ringless but earnest, under the same stars that had witnessed his youth. I laughed, yes, spilling easy, commitment as humanism, love as revolution. But climax demands crescendo. The town's simmer boiled over at the winter fair, carnival lights strung across the park, funnel cakes scenting the air, Ferris wheel groaning against a bruised sky. We'd gone as a unit. Eli on my arm, Nathan's hand in my back pocket, defying stares. Laughter bubbled, Eli winning a stuffed bear at ring toss. Nathan's rare grin as we shared cotton candy, pink sugar dusting our lips. Then Tommy and his crew appeared, shadows amid the cheer. "Look, the circus is in town," Tommy sneered, flanked by 3 others, breath sour with whiskey snuck in flasks. "Bet you freaks stick together, huh?" Eli tensed, but Nathan stepped forward, calm as quarry stone. "Walk away, son. Night's too good for ugliness." Tommy laughed, shoving Nathan's shoulder. "Or what? You'll cry to your boyfriend." The word weaponized, crowd murmuring, phones out recording. I pulled Eli back, whispering stay cool, but adrenaline surged. Nathan held ground, voice steady. "Love's not ugliness. Hiding is." The shove came again, harder. Nathan stumbling into a booth, apples tumbling. Chaos. Shouts, fists, the crowd parting like Red Sea judgment. I dove in, tackling Tommy off Nathan, punches landing wild. My nose crunching, blood hot. Eli yelled, swinging his cane like a bat, cracking a knee. Security swarmed, fair whistles shrilling, but not before Nathan took a boot to the ribs, crumpling with a gasp. In the melee's wake, cops again, statements under carnival strobes. We huddled in the truck, bruised and bloodied. Nathan winced hand to side. "Ribs might be cracked," he grunted. Eli, lip split, handed him water. "Worth it," he said, fierce. We stood. At the ER third visit, nurses rolling eyes but gentle. X-rays confirmed. 2 cracked ribs, no internals. As we waited release, Nathan pulled us close, 1 arm around each. "This is the betrayal," he said softly. "Not ours, theirs. Fear turning good folks mean." Eli nodded, head on my shoulder. "Then we rise. Better." Discharge papers in hand, we drove home under stars, the fair's lights fading. Romance waited in the ordinary. Nathan's kiss tasting of antiseptic, Eli's grin through swelling. Humanism triumphed. Not in perfection, but persistence. Yet the storm wasn't spent. Whispers grew to howls. Petitions circulated for family values. The hardware store fielding complaints. Nathan's boss called, a regretful take time things cool. Eli's GSA vandalized, posters torn, slurs scrawled. My mom, finally clued in, hugged me tight but warned, "Town's got long memory, baby. Be smart." Doubt crept, a thief in the night. Nathan woke sweating nightmares. Mike's letters burning, Eli's note crumpled. "Maybe we sell the house," he murmured one dawn, me curled against him. "Start over." For him. I traced his jaw, stubble rough. Running's not us. Facing is. But Eli broke first. Mid-December, snow blanketing Elm Street like shroud. He confronted us in the kitchen, duffel at his feet. Echo of Nathan's. "I'm going," he announced, chin set. "Aunt Lena in Cleveland says I can crash, finish school there. Away from this." Heart fracturing, I gripped the counter. "Eli, no. It's not forever." He cut in, eyes pleading. "Just space. To figure who I am without the drama." To Nathan, "Love you, Dad, but this town's killing us slow." Nathan's face crumpled, but he nodded, pulling Eli into a bear hug. "Proud of you, son. Call every day." The goodbye was porch-lit agony. Hugs exchanged, truck idling, taillights vanishing into flurries. Alone, Nathan and I stood snow-silent, betrayal sting sharp. Not of lovers, but of time, place, the inexorable pull of growth. Winter clamped down on Willow Creek like a vice, snowdrifts piling against doors, winds howling elegies through bare oaks. Eli's absence echoed in the house. His room untouched, a half-read comic on the dresser, crutches leaning like sentinels in the hall. Nathan moved like a ghost, fixing what he could. Leaky faucets, splintered steps, but the real breaks eluded his hammer. I'd come over daily after classes, dinners heated from Tupperware, our conversations circling lost like moths to a dim bulb. "He'll be back," I'd say, clearing plates, but the words rang hollow. Eli's calls were sporadic, cheerful updates on Cleveland's bustle. A new job at a coffee shop. A tentative date with a barista named Jordan. "Town feels small now," he'd admit once, voice crackling over the line. Miss you guys. But it's good. Breathing room. Nathan grunted agreements, but hung up deflated, staring at the phone like it had betrayed him. Our intimacy shifted too, still tender, hands finding each other in the quiet, but laced with grief. Nights, we'd lie awake, his fingers tracing my spine, whispering dreams deferred. San Francisco, he'd muse. Mike always said the bridge lights up like hope. I'd kiss his temple, murmuring someday. But the word tasted of postponement. Spring thawed the ground, mud sucking at boots, but hardened nothing. The town simmered. Petitions failed for lack of signatures. Some folks, shamed by the brawl's ugliness, quietly withdrew. Nathan's boss called back. Shop's yours if you want it. Steady now. He returned to work, shoulders squared, nodding at wary glances. I graduated community college with an associate's in creative writing, portfolio stuffed with stories of fractured boys finding voice, semi-autobiographical, cathartic. Eli visited once, Memorial Day weekend, bus pulling in under lilac blooms. The reunion was porch hugs and hesitant laughs, his leg fully healed, stride confident. Cleveland's chaos, he said over burgers. But real, no stairs. We walked the creek, 3 abreast, stones skipping farther than memory. Missed this, he admitted, arm slinging mine. Nathan watched, eyes soft, the betrayal scar fading to silver. But climax's shadow lingered. June brought heat waves, air thick as regret, and a letter, official crested envelope from the county. Nathan opened it at the kitchen table, face draining. Foreclosure notice. Payments slipped during the unemployment, he explained, voice hollow. Thought I had it handled. Panic surged. The house, anchor of memories, good and grim, slipped away. Eli, visiting again, paced furiously. We fight it. Bankruptcy. Refinance. Something. But Nathan shook his head, weary. Time to let go. Start fresh. The decision crystallized over late-night talks. Sell what we could. Pool savings. Relocate. Not San Francisco, too far, too fantastical, but Pittsburgh, 2 hours east. Bigger city, carpentry unions, art scenes for my writing dreams. Eli jumped in. I'm transferring to Pitt in the fall. We do this together. Betrayal transmuted to rebirth. We packed summers. Boxes labeled with care, Nathan's tools wrapped in newspaper ghosts. The town watched, some with schadenfreude, others quiet nods at the post office. Miss Betty slipped me a check at the diner. For the road, hon. You boys deserve blue skies. Moving day dawned golden, U-Haul hitched, Eli's beater trailing. We stood on the porch last, keys handed to the realtor, the swing creaking farewell. Nathan pulled me close, Eli joining. A huddle against the unknown. To leaps, Nathan toasted with a thermos of coffee. Pittsburgh welcomed with grit and grace. Row houses in the Hill District, Nathan's shop in Lawrenceville, my freelance gigs from a coffee shop desk. Eli thrived, campus GSA booming, Jordan a fixture at Sunday brunches. Romance with Nathan flowered unhurried. Date nights at jazz clubs, mornings tangled in our one-bedroom, his laughter freer, my stories published in local mags, tales of small-town storms yielding to city rainbows. One autumn evening, year later, we drove back to Willow Creek, Eli's idea, closure quest. The creek ran clear, house sold to a young family, porch swing repainted. We picnicked under willows, sandwiches and stories, Mike's ghost finally at peace. You saved us, Eli said, toasting with soda. Both of you. Nathan's arm around me, Eli's head on his shoulder. Family, redefined. Nah, I replied. We saved each other. The sun dipped, painting the water gold, and in that light, I saw it. Humanism's quiet victory. Not grand gestures, but endurance. The courage to love amid betrayal's sting. Conflict's fire, emotions flood. Willow Creek faded in the rearview, but its lessons lingered. Hearts mend not in isolation, but in the brave weave of shared scars. We drove east, into dusk's embrace, unbreakable.